Hey everyone. So it's been a little over 2 weeks since we moved all of our stuff out of Banneker and went on hiatus. And that move came as kind of a big surprise to some of our supporters and a lot of our volunteers. And we've kept kind of quiet about it. Everything happening behind the scenes since then, but it's not because we haven't been working on it.
I went on vacation and I ended up making two quilts out of mask scraps and a bunch of masks too.
I tried to go on vacation, but things have thankfully been getting really busy for me over here at Patient PT, so I only managed to get out of town for a couple of days. But with all the conversation about schools opening up and what that might look like, I've had masks very much on my mind. This week, the county health department announced that there is a mandatory mask order in the works, and it's expected to go into effect by the end of July. There are a lot of strong feelings about that mandatory mask order, and our public officials are just starting to hear about them. I have no doubt that everyone in our local government and health leadership are facing more challenges than they ever have, and this mask order will be among the most difficult steps. There are complications related to liability, enforcement, safety, and many other concerns that I can't even guess at. Because I'm not a part of local government, and nor am I considered a powerful voice in matters of public health. I'm just a physical therapist.
And I'm just a quilter.
Back when Nola and I started this thing in the middle of March, masks were a total mystery to most of us. The only people who were worried about masks were folks in healthcare like me and pediatrician Cynthia Nassim, who first approached Nola about masks and helped her design what has become our standard pattern. Cynthia and I were both worried because we both run healthcare clinics, and even by early March, we were already realizing that surgical masks were in short supply. Even fabric masks were almost impossible to get without having them made yourself. So that's what I was doing. And that's what Nola was helping another healthcare provider do when we teamed up to form Bloomington Mask Drive on March 20th of this year. In the medical world, masks are not controversial. I honestly never expected masks to become a political issue. In recent years, there have been large outbreaks of flu-like disorders such as H1N1 in Asia, and fabric masks are a standard and common sense means of containing spread. I definitely never expected anything and everything to be shut down before masks became common sense here, let alone for everything to start shutting down a second time. In the beginning, I didn't think we would need to keep making masks for very long. I assumed that supply lines would get straightened out and that our government would act swiftly to make sure everyone understood what was at stake and how to keep everyone safe.
We've always insisted our volunteers wear masks or keep social distance at Bloomington Mask Drive, and as far as we know, not a single one of our volunteers has caught COVID.
Outside the mask drive, however, Nola and I have no dictatorial power, so obviously waiting for clear guidance on masks from above did not work. So here we are 3 months later, and masks are still controversial. For me, that means that masks still need to be as accessible as possible. And at Bloomington Mask Drive, it means free and with minimal conditions. Despite the fact that we had to fight through a lot of opposition in the beginning, even from our own family and friends, together we've built a network of over 350 volunteers who help us with every step of this process, from cutting the materials to managing mask requests to actually tossing clean bagged masks into trunks and back windows. The most amazing thing about Bloomington Mask Drive to me is that we get more thanks and gratitude from our volunteers than anyone else. In fact, there were a bunch of them who told us from the minute we announced we were shutting down that they were going to keep making masks no matter what, and they wished that they still had a group like ours to donate them to. You see, there are a lot of mask making efforts in town. There are a lot of mask makers. There are even a few other big groups making lots of masks together. But Bloomington Mask Drive is the only one that has always made sure every single mask that comes into our drive gets washed in hypoallergenic clean conditions, no matter who it is going to. Bloomington Mask Drive is the only mask drive that has established a sort and quality check system and make sure that a set of instructions go out with every single mask request. Bloomington Mask Drive is the only one that has given out every single face mask free of charge to anyone who asked in any number needed. Bloomington Mask Drive has done all of this amidst a historic pandemic, and while our leadership at every level has continued to scramble to figure out what we should all do, we got 25,000 clean masks out the door and into the hands of Bloomington and Monroe County residents and organizations who needed them. We've always had a singular goal: to make sure masks are as accessible as we possibly can. We can't order anyone to wear a mask. We don't have any interest in selling masks. We just want there to be as many masks available for anyone who needs them and wants one, because that's something that we can do. And that's what we have heard over and over again from our volunteers. Thank you for making it so easy for me to do what little I can do in the face of this chaotic, terrifying year. So why did we stop? Well, to be perfectly honest, we never wanted to be in charge of all of this to begin with. Remember, we are just two people. This isn't our job. Nola had never made a single face mask in her life just 5 months ago. I definitely never thought I would be running the entire post-production distribution side of a mask factory, but that's functionally what we are, and I'm not gonna lie, it was not easy. Bloomington Mask Drive happened because Nola and I each personally put almost every waking moment in for a month straight. Nola cut materials and recruited mask makers and answered endless questions and considered countless suggestions for how to make our masks better. I wrote thousands upon thousands of words and documentation, including the script that we are reading right now. Yeah, we're reading a script on Facebook Live. Deal with it. We're not pros. I did all the web development. I managed all the data, and it was a lot of data. We had to make every single decision ourselves because it's always been just us. We've gotten a lot of help, an amazing amount of help from our volunteers, and monetary support from our donors has always kept us afloat. We've also gotten free access to a lot of facilities and resources that made some of it a lot easier. But we don't have the power and influence that comes from being a government, nonprofit, or big corporate entity. We're a couple of strangers who came together to help as much as we possibly could during an emergency. And even though we've gotten a whole lot done, it's been pretty easy to tell ourselves that we don't really know what we're doing. We've tried to address that by asking questions, by consulting the folks who are more directly responsible for all this. And by the beginning of June, those sorts of folks were mostly telling us that we had done a great job, but we could stop now. I can't even tell you how many people I've called for help with keeping this thing going who've asked me, "Don't you have a job?"
We don't want to seem ungrateful. We are grateful for all the support we've gotten. But when we heard that moving day was coming up again, this time with no alternative locations forthcoming, we didn't know what more we could do.
So we did the hard thing and started working on winding things down. But as soon as people started hearing about it, we started hearing more and more how needed and wanted Bloomington Mask Drive still is. We heard from parent-teacher organizations that were worried about the single mask promised by the state for each student and that it wouldn't be enough. We heard from local staples like the library and the bus service asking where they could get masks in the future, and we didn't know. We couldn't help but wonder, when did this become our problem?
We just did too good of a job, and it was clear by the time we were moving out of Banneker that our work wasn't done.
At the same time, I do have a job that I really love. And the fact is that doing things the way that we were doing them before was just too hard. Taking requests, bagging them, contacting people to come and get them, taking complaints from people who were mad that they had to wait a week for their free masks, or that our voicemail telling them that their free masks were ready went to spam. It was hard. We needed help. I needed help. I needed the distribution side to be easier. So I started thinking about an idea that I had way back at the beginning of May to make it easier. That's the main reason Nola and I are here to talk to you today.
We want to show you our new toy.
That's right. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the part you all already know, our partnership with Area 10 Agency on Aging. About a week before we were set to move out of Banneker and shut down, honestly, without any real plans to restart anytime soon, we heard from our friend Carol Kugler over at the Herald Times. She wanted to do another story about our move. And to our surprise, when the article came out in the paper, she left the door a little bit more open for us to start up again than we expected.
Suddenly, everyone wanted to take us to the prom.
Right? We got a flood of offers and support and space, and the next week was a blur. We talked to so many people and went to several places, but one offer really stood out from all the rest. Area 10 Agency on Aging, and particularly Director Chris Myers, was amazingly supportive and made it all so easy for us. Within 8 hours of my emailing her to say yes, she had a pair of keys dropped off at Banneker for Nola and I, and promised that Bloomington Mask Drive would have a home at Enright until the end of the year, at least. The location is ideal. From parking access to bus access to entry without a single stair, we couldn't possibly ask for a better place for ourselves and our volunteers. We've already met with Chris and several of her key staff, and they answered all our questions, and together we made a plan to provide masks through existing Area 10 programs and make it easy for our volunteers to drop off masks and work shifts at Enright, and we have never felt so valued.
Starting July 27th, we'll have volunteer shifts at Enright starting up again. This time, I'm going to teach our mask makers how to make some special masks.
We're going to kick off on the 27th with what I'm calling Medical Mask Monday. So Nola is going to show our mask makers how to make a super simple, super protective mask. Oh, sorry, Nola, I just realized I was totally blocking your face. A super simple, super protective mask out of N95 rated surgical drape. And I'll be teaching folks our sorting and quality check system on the distribution side.
On the 29th is Window Mask Wednesday, where I'll walk sewers through how to make a mask with windows that make it easier to read lips.
Okay. Friday is the 31st, and that's Fun Mask Friday, where we'll be working on at least one style of kids mask sized for children aged 2 to 8 years old. Oh, I kind of messed up our script, so I got confused. Sorry, guys. Well, anyway, I hope that you'll be able to join us. We're also looking for some extra, mostly non-mask related help. Specifically, we could use some folks who are good at things like videography, video editing, technical writing, WordPress web development, social media, and publicist type stuff. I did a lot of different jobs before I went back to school for that Doctor of Physical Therapy degree, so I've handled almost all the technical stuff so far, but I don't know how to do everything.
Even I don't know how to do everything.
Especially, I don't know anything at all about woodworking. And that's what brings us to that idea I mentioned earlier, to make our jobs easier. What do you think, Nola? Should we show them?
Yeah, let's show them. Enough suspense.
Okay, here we go. Okay. So you grab your side.
All right.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! That never goes as smoothly as it does in my head. Okay, so this is the very first Bloomington Mask Drive self-serve mask station. People who need masks can just come to my office building, Executive Park North, where the doors are unlocked from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. This mask station will be right here outside my clinic, and we ask, as always, that folks abide by our honor system and take just one package of masks per person.
Each package has 2 masks. Wear one, wash one.
That's right. This mask station is the pilot for our new Bloomington Mask Drive Partners and Friends program. We'll be releasing all the details on how that will work in the next week or so, but in the meantime, individuals and families in need are welcome to come and get masks from our pilot station here at Patient PT. This station holds about 100 masks, and I'll be restocking it regularly from now until Bloomington Mask Drive ends for real this time.
And there is also a place for mask makers to donate the masks they've made. If you don't want to drop your mask off at our bin at Enright East because you don't want to go inside the mall, you don't have to.
You can drop them off anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, here in my small, low-traffic office building. There are nice wide hallways, so even if you encounter someone else while you're inside, it's easy to maintain a safe distance. And of course, everyone in my building has been wearing masks while they're in the hallways. Not us right now, but it's Sunday afternoon, so we're alone. You may have noticed that we have a real logo now too, and I wanted to make sure that I thank Bloomington Mask Drive volunteer and local artist Luann Holiday for making it for us.
If you need more than just a few masks, this mask station is not for you, but the Partners and Friends program is, so stay tuned for our next update on how you can get your own mask station or partner with Bloomington Mask Drive to supply masks to your own programs. Just like Area 10 Agency on Aging is partnering with us to provide masks via rural transit, congregate grab and go, mobile food pantry, and more.
If you think that my little bitty PT clinic is a weird place to put such an important community resource, you're not alone. I think it's weird too. If this is where I really wanted this mask station to go, I probably would have had it built 2 months ago when I first thought of the idea.
That would have saved us a whole lot of work.
Right. But I offered to have this mask station made for a whole lot of places that would have made more sense than patient PT, and every time we tried to talk to someone about it, it was too much to ask. Some folks didn't want to take donations on our behalf, and even though we receive a lot of our small donations directly from people when they're picking up their masks.
Some didn't like the idea of collecting the donated masks. Taking donations of anything was looking scary for a while there.
But considering we've been accepting donated cash and masks and materials for over 3 months, and we know that a little well-placed hand sanitizer goes a long way, we weren't afraid. And frankly, this is all pretty complicated. I kept waiting to have a better idea, and I just didn't get one. No one else did either. So here we are. We have a mask station.
You can stop by 2620 North Walnut to get masks or donate masks you've made starting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Mask station will be here.
And Bloomington Mask Drive will be at Enright starting July 27th.
And the details on how to get your own mask station, which you have the option of decorating yourself, will come out in the next week.
So that's our update.
Yep, that's it.
Hand sanitizer.
That's right. Keep your hands clean. It's still just as important as ever. Try to maintain 6 feet of distance at all times and wear your mask anytime you are inside a building with other people, okay? We'll talk to you again as soon as we can.